I left my home, my life, my multi-million-dollar everything with 3 suitcases.
With the girls or without the girls?
Without the girls. So I have a full-time nanny who was there 7 to 7. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come to LA and I'm going to see my therapist because my therapist is here. And I'm just going to check into the hotel. Well, when I got to the hotel, I slept for so long, they did a wellness check. And they knocked on the door to make sure I was okay because I hadn't ordered any food and no one had seen me. And I could barely talk when they did the wellness check because I hadn't had water in so long.
You were just out because you were so exhausted?
I was out. I was physically exhausted and sick.
How many hours is this?
I would say it was probably, I want to say 30 hours. After I got up, I remember just being in a stupor and feeling like I could only mentally take one thing in front of me. So it was like, okay, drink water. Okay, eat some food. Lay back down. And then finally, I actually just told my sister, I said, can you please check in on the kids? Because I don't know if I'll be able to. You know, I mean, it was just really step by step. And I think that's very similar for a lot of women.
This woman had a millionaire husband. All she had to do was take care of the children, who had a nanny 24/7. Despite that, she felt exhausted. In short, she left for a few days to attend therapy and see a doctor because she couldn't handle the workload. Brothers, the modern woman victimizes herself for everything. Imagine a man saying he needs to leave for a few days because he can't handle his responsibilities as the man of the house. The internet would criticize him for being weak. But surely, if this man is a millionaire, he must manage a company, take care of employees, handle the company's finances and home, ensure nothing is damaged at home, provide food for his children, attend to his wife, take care of his children's health, and attend to his wife both emotionally and economically. Women today have it easy with so many conveniences, yet they still complain about having to do anything. Many don't want the responsibilities of marriage. They just want to say they're married, have a big wedding, show off a ring, and nothing more.
It is very funny to me that straight men don't seem to realize that the consequences of not stepping up around the house when you have been asked to are that you don't get to have a wife anymore. Around 70% of divorces of straight couples are initiated by women, and that is because we get sick of men's refusal to do their share of the domestic and caring load, and we realize that we can be happier and do less work single. Men are often blindsided by divorce, and that is because they don't seem to understand what it means when we are telling them that we need them to do more of the housework, more of the childcare, and that they need to take end-to-end ownership of specific domestic tasks without being asked. Women tell them this, but they can still think that there won't be any real consequences to them not doing it. Men are scaffolded by a patriarchal system that shields them from the consequences of their own actions always. From rarely being punished for sexual assault, to being promoted in the workplace over women even when they are incompetent, to believing that they still get to have a wife even when they have let that wife get buried under domestic duties that she has asked for help with. That's why they're so shocked when women divorce them. They don't realize that in their inaction, they have been showing us that they don't care if we're miserable. And they don't realize that there are consequences to that because there have so rarely been consequences for their bad behavior. But when men don't pull their weight, women leave them, and that might make them miserable, but we're happier. And I would suggest that we make men aware of this, but that would just be making women do more work again.
This is a complete fallacy. Do you know how many men currently do chores and household work? It's a significant percentage. That's why it's the simplest thing for an adult to function. These women keep complaining about doing chores or taking care of the children, when it's the man who has to bring food to the table, work, and pay all the expenses so that this woman can stay at home. Supposedly, she should at least be able to keep the house clean. It's true that 70% of women file for divorce, but this is even higher when the man is financially stable or has paid for the house. You know why? Because, as she says, the patriarchal system rewards women more in divorce than men. How can a woman not be happier if she gets to keep the house, half of the man's money, part of his pension, and child support? Brother, if every man who separates from his wife ended up like this after a divorce, that man would be very happy too. But what does the man end up losing? Half of everything, and sometimes even having to pay the lawyer's fees that your ex-wife used to screw you over, which can be more than everything she takes from you. That's why I've always said, a man who picks himself up after a divorce is worth two, because not only does that man have a difficult life, but now he has to go into survival mode after being in a war.
So I'm in my car getting ready to go into work, and I'm just going to be super quick because something was sent to me the other day. Apparently the church that I was a part of for years had their annual Christmas deacon elder dinner, and I was always there. This is the first one that I've missed because I am no longer with my pastor, praise and worship leader husband. So of course this is when everybody plasters the pictures of them at the restaurant, and I was guilty of doing the same thing. But let's rewind to last year's deacon elder dinner. It is December 2022. My husband and I are hanging on by a thread. I am pretty much getting ready to leave because I can't take it anymore, and we're sitting at a table, and it's a round table, and my brother-in-law and sister were sitting at the table. My husband is there. My husband comes up and touches me on the back, and it was like this. And I mean, I just like cringed, right? He recognized it for the first time. He noticed that I reacted that way to his touch, and he said, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. I'm fine. I'm sorry. Go work the crowd." And when I say work the crowd, exactly what I mean. Go work the crowd. We're told we need to be available. We're told to smile, kiss the babies, shake the hands, hug the old ladies. I mean, that's what you're taught to do. So I told him to go work the crowd. I was fine. Don't worry about it. I think my sister-in-law kind of noticed it too, but they knew that I was hanging on by a thread anyways. And so my point to all of this is that all of their pictures are going to be posted all over social media of all the happy couples and the elders and the deacons and all their wives. And my memory of the last one that was there was that my husband had to stop drinking because we had a church event that night. We weren't really allowed to do nighttime events because we had to do everything around his alcohol. So he had a few drinks that morning. He stopped drinking the afternoon and going into the evening for the event. By this point, he is feeling it a little bit. He's starting to get a little shaky. But again, I know the routine. You don't get in people's faces. You make sure you have your mint. You put your eye drops in your eye. Like, we did everything. I knew what he was doing and what I was doing to cover it up. But I was about done. So we leave the event after, we do the whole thing and say our goodbyes, and we get into the car, and he had his vodka shooter already in the car, ready to just down it to control the shakes. So he downs his vodka shooter. I immediately drive him across the street to the liquor store, across the street and down, so that he can get the alcohol that he needs for the night. We had left a little early, so the fear of running into anybody wasn't a big deal. So we get the alcohol, we head home, he proceeds to get plastered, and then treat myself and our children, my kids, like crap. That was my memory. That is what happened. That is the life that we lived. That is what it was like being married to my pastor, praise and worship leader husband, and lying to everybody for a decade. So it was a little bit of a trigger for me when I see all these pictures, especially senior pastor and his wife posting pictures on social media, because I used to do the same thing. But that's my memory. So it's so funny because I know what events are coming up and I know what's going to be posted. And every single one of those events, I have a memory of me covering and hiding and my husband getting so drunk. So we'll see what happens the next time they post. Let's see what's coming up next. Christmas. I'm sure I have some good ones there.
Brothers, have you ever noticed that every woman who has been married to a man of value in any area, whenever she ends things with this man, seeks to demonize him? She portrays herself as the victim. I'm not saying this story isn't real, or that what this man did was not wrong, but it always goes like this. I am the victim. I was married to a narcissist. I don't know how I survived this marriage and all those kinds of things. The worst part is that a man who gets married, when he gets divorced, has to be prepared for his entire personal life or mistakes to be shared with everyone. This man was married to this woman. He wasn't perfect, had his problems, and instead of helping him, she ends up sinking him even more. Of course, she does this by damaging his image, as is typical for any man in a position of power when he breaks up with a woman. She starts telling stories about his entire personal life, of course, from the perspective that she is the victim and the man is the evil devil who abused her. But let's see how this story continues because there are 2 more videos. It's quite interesting.
Okay, so here is part 2 to what it was like being married to an alcoholic pastor, praise and worship leader at a church event. So I just shared a video earlier about a deacon elder dinner for 2022. The deacon elder dinner just happened for 2023, so they posted some stuff about it on social media. So we're going to rewind to deacon elder dinner 2020, I believe. So my husband, my pastor husband, he's the associate pastor of a church. I'm no longer part of that church since I'm no longer with him. But so it is that event. And my husband and I are at a casino. And he is plastered. He has been drinking most of the day, but definitely loves to drink whenever he's gambling. And so he is several drinks in. And I usually didn't gamble. I would usually go to my car and watch Netflix and get an appetizer from the restaurant. So I'm getting ready to walk out of the restaurant and I get a message, actually a missed phone call from my sister-in-law. And that's really weird because like the time and everything like that, I was like, okay, I didn't answer because I usually never answered unless he gave me permission or he was with me and on speaker, or something like that. So I don't answer the phone and then I get another missed call from a deacon. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's something going on. Something has happened. So I go over to his machine and I'm like, hey babe, I just had a missed call from our sister and I just had a missed call from a deacon. He's like, yeah, I know. My brother called me and she called me too. Like, that's really weird. And I'm like, what do you think is going on? He's like, I don't know. We're not going to worry about it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the car and I'll wait for you to text me when you're done. And then I get a text and they're asking where we are. I go back to my husband and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the elder deacon dinner and it's happening right now. And we are here. You are drunk and we're at the casino. What the heck are we going to do? Let's go. Let's go. Let's get home. Let's get home. He's like, he cashes out. We get in the car and we are booking it back home. And he's like, oh crap. Oh crap, I'm probably going to get fired. I'm probably going to get fired. I'm probably going to get fired. I'm like, no, you're not, babe. No, you're not. Like, your dad's the pastor. He's not going to fire you. And he's like, I'm like, what are we going to do though? He's like, I don't know. I've never missed, like, I don't know. I'm like, well, we obviously can't go. You're trashed. And you know, somebody's going to come to our house to check on us and you can't answer the door. He's like, I don't know. So we decide that we are going to tell the family, my sister-in-law and the deacon that called, that I am sick. So we basically tell them that I have a urinary tract infection, that I've been in bed and that he's been taking care of me and that it just completely slipped our minds. We are so sorry. We couldn't believe this, but he was such a good husband and taking care of his wife and that's why we're not there. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, do you guys need anything? Is there anything that we can do for you guys? Like that was my life. That was my entire marriage, was protecting this man, loving this man, making excuses for this man. Whatever I could do to elevate this man and protect him, I did. So I took the hit on this one. And not kidding you, they brought us our food and put it on our front porch for us so that he would not have to cook his sick wife dinner. If y'all only knew, that's only the second one I've told. It is a decade of covering for my associate pastor, praise and worship leader husband. A decade. So I'll share more later.
Brothers, do you see what I'm saying? She is the victim all the time, loving this man, covering for him all the time, always being the one harmed for over a decade. But during that decade, she lived a life of luxury and the good life as the pastor's son's wife, living off the church's money without working. Oh, she conveniently left that part out. I can imagine the pressure this man must have exerted in this household that led to alcoholism, with a wife who, at no point in her story, mentions trying to get him help. She only tried to cover up so he wouldn't fall because apparently, if she endured so much with her abusive husband, it was because this man brought a lot to the table. Remember something, brothers, you will always be the bad guy in someone else's story. As a friend of mine used to say, if you ask me about my divorce, I'll tell you it happened because my ex-wife and I didn't understand each other. But if you hear her side of the story, I might even hate myself. She will always be the victim who endured so much. But I want you to see how the community reacts to the victim, especially in the city where she lives.
So my best friend, one of my best friends that I actually wasn't allowed to have any contact with for a long time, thank God she stuck by me. She'll always be in my life, messaged me and asked me if I had seen all the negative comments on my TikTok. No, I don't really pay attention to them. They don't bother me. This is what I told her, they don't bother me. I used to care what everybody thought about me. If they didn't like me, what did I say? What did I do? If they didn't like the way I talked, well, they think I talk funny. Well, how do I talk different? How do I make them happy? Or they talk about my looks and, just anything. It used to keep me up at night. It used to drive me crazy, like how I could fix this. When I married and got into a relationship with my associate pastor, praise and worship leader husband, I had to let all of that go, because in our town, they're kind of like a well-known family, and they have just as many haters as they do people that love them. I mean, you either love them or you hate them. There's a saying in the family that when you meet someone new, you don't know if you should duck or pucker. You don't know if you're about to get hit in the face or if you're going to get kissed. And that is so true. Everyone that was so happy and loved the fact that I married him hated me for marrying him. Everybody that loved that I married him hate me now because I left. I mean, it just goes with the territory. I actually got a job because of who my father-in-law was, and I actually didn't get a job because of who my father-in-law is. And it's funny because my current position, my team was warned, like, this is who she is, don't hold it against her. Like, don't prejudge her for who she's married to and the family that she's married to. Like, give her the benefit of the doubt. They were actually told that. Most people are told that. So no, I don't care about the negative comments, because when I got into the family and married my husband, I faced it daily, especially on Sundays, from people that thought I wasn't good enough for him or preferred wife number one over me. Like, I mean, I dealt with so much stuff whenever I got into my marriage. But not only that, when I tried to leave, the amount of hate I got was unbelievable. But I got the same amount of support too. But it's crazy, because when you leave a narcissist, or when you get out of a relationship, you're usually just divorcing that person. And I mean, you might have to deal with some of their family or whatever. But for me, when I left, I had to deal with an entire family, as well as an entire church congregation and some past church members that still adore them. It was almost like, how could you do that to our baby? How could you do that to our sweet person? So I'm very used to it. I can't even really go to a grocery store. I was at a grocery store the other day, and one of the elders from the church were there, and I had to actually leave the grocery store because I knew there would probably be a verbal exchange, and it was going to be not very nice. I can be at a parking lot. This happened to me the other day in a parking lot, and I was asked, wait, are you so-and-so, the one that's leaving so-and-so? Yeah, that's me. And then I proceed to get asked a ton of questions. But the comments don't bother me for another reason. I was in that relationship for about a decade, and the things that I was told and were told to my kids, and the way that we were treated, I mean, someone saying they don't like the way I talk, or that I'm a drama queen or whatever, is nothing compared to what I was called all the time, or horrible things that were said to me about my children. So someone that I don't know on TikTok that says a hateful or rude comment, you are entitled to your opinion. I did see one that said, if I was married to you, I drink too. Well, we were only together for 10 years, and this was a 34-year problem. So you can't blame me. And you also can't blame wife number one for that issue either, because it was well before her. So that doesn't bother me at all either. Like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. This is my story. This is my journey. This is what it was like being in this relationship, how it was navigating leaving a family that you typically don't leave. the being behind the scenes of ministry and all the stuff that I had to deal with and endure, all the nasty parts of ministry that nobody wants to talk about. So no, I don't get upset about the comments. I don't really read them. Like I said, man, I could share a few text messages that I received from my husband, just like on my way home from work, that would blow your mind. And I dealt with that battlefield for a decade. I dealt with that kind of stuff for a decade. So someone saying I talk funny, or she shouldn't have that gum in her mouth, she looks ridiculous, or you know what, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it is what it is. I have a story to tell. I'm going to tell it. And I appreciate all the messages and comments that I do get, saying I was in a relationship with a pastor. I was in a relationship with an addict. How did you get out? I also get comments from people in our church that are still there, and people that have already left, or people that was under another church where my family ministered. That was like, we're so proud of you. You're so brave. I wish I was brave enough to tell what happened to me. Keep going, girl. Like, and I'm going to tell my story. I have a story to tell, and it's pretty fascinating, and it's not meant to shame my husband. I'm going to basically, I'm his cheerleader. I'll always be his cheerleader. But I also want the truth to be told. So I want the truth to be told, and I want him to get help, and I want churches and ministry and leadership and to stop covering, lying, and hiding. Stop it. Like, stop. It's time to really address the dark side of ministry. It's time to really get it out there. So, like I said, I have a story to tell. I'm excited to tell it, and I hope you follow along.
Brothers, this woman built her entire life around her ex-husband. She got a job through her ex-husband, became known in the community because of her ex-husband. Her whole life revolved around the influence of her ex-husband. Seeing this, do you believe that after a divorce, she would leave without tarnishing the image of the man who provided her with a life? What happened here is that this man was going to continue being influential in the community. She would leave as the woman who destroyed her marriage, as women often do in divorces, but she always has to be the victim to gain more in the divorce. She made a video airing all the dirty laundry of her marriage to damage this man's image, to be able to say she was the victim who escaped the abuser. I'm not saying what this man did is right, but one can leave without looking back, maintain a co-parenting relationship for the children, and move on with life. Or one can destroy the man's image, defame him, ruin his livelihood, while taking everything in the divorce, destroying his sphere of influence. Which do you think the woman will choose? Always the more destructive path for the man, because leaving in peace is not a woman's style. First, you have to play the roles of the villain and the victim, as they always want to be the victims. What hurts her is that someone else will take her place tomorrow, gaining all the benefits and influence. She will disappear into nothing, only known as the pastor's ex-wife.
When I went on a girls' trip to Europe, my boyfriend of 3.5 years packed up our entire apartment behind my back, moved to California without me. The lesson I learned: never compromise what you want in your life for your partner. In that relationship, I lost part of who I was. My independence and free thinking left my body. Small example of this in the relationship: my boyfriend would never let me get a dog. And 2.5 years into the relationship, when he finally did let me, he told me I could pick out any dog I wanted for my birthday. I chose the dog I wanted, a rescue Chihuahua baby boy. When we got there to get him, I wanted to name him Oliver. My boyfriend decided to tell me in that moment, actually, unless you don't let me name the dog, we're not getting him. So his name ended up being Kukulkan. Call him Kook for short. Which my baby boy Kook, who I still have, is absolutely perfect. Thinking back though, it was such a control tactic. He had to have the final say about the dog. Tinted moisturizer is so beautiful. On a larger scale, I compromised what I desired in my long-term future.
Oh, hell no!
It's curious to hear someone say, never compromise what you want for your partner, when you went on a solo trip to Europe with your friends. Isn't that, in itself, not compromising anything you wanted? This is the problem with so-called empowered women. They do whatever they want, even while in a relationship. Any opinion or disagreement from their partner is seen as an imposition. So, if you don't want a man to have a say in what you do, Why be in a relationship with one
He would talk often about not wanting to get married or having kids. After 3 years together, his biggest life goal was to end up on a deserted island alone. I remember telling my family I didn't want to get married or have kids. That was never the case. I was doing it to appease him. Animals. I want dogs running around, sleeping in my bed, giving me unconditional love every day. I want it all. A career, family, marriage. Someone who takes part in my passions and wants to build an empire and family together as my biggest supporter and partner. I want to be an independent thinker, living the life I desire without stipulation. I let my independent, badass self fade into the shadows of the life that he wanted. It was evident he was at the forefront of his mind. He made the decision to pack up our apartment and move to a different state without even discussing it with me. But it was clear he was also at the forefront of my mind, sacrificing what I wanted and who I was for that relationship. Instead of first place, I sat back seat with a participation trophy in my own headspace. Never let yourself fade into the rear view. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. And remember, you're never...
Then marry a woman or an effeminate man who lets you be the man in the relationship. Just hearing phrases like, I want to be an independent thinker living the life I desire without conditions, makes it clear why that man packed his bags and left. Living with a woman like that is hell. You'll never have stability or leadership. When women take charge in the home, everything eventually falls apart. This man endured 3 years before walking away because he couldn't take it anymore. Maybe at first, he wanted to build something with her, but her plans didn't include stability or commitment. This is the barrier many men face today. They see how some women are looking for a man who's little more than a servant, someone who says yes to everything, funds all their desires, but has no authority. For that, it's better to stay single. Remember, brother, responsibility without authority isn't love.
I just walked in. I mean, the couches are gone. There's a chair, I guess. TV's down. Kitchen table is gone. Oh, how nice. He left the cats. I mean, okay. No pots and pans. No utensils. Literally no bowls or plates. I have glasses. There's some cooking utensils, I guess. This actually might be my fucking spare keys for my truck, because he took my truck keys. I mean, I guess I have lettuce. Who knows how long that's been there. I have some food, but no way to cook anything, so that's great. This room, I don't know, the cats threw up on the floor or something, but he took everything from this room, except cat stuff. I mean, not bad. Okay. This room is just fully empty. Another TV missing. And then we have the bathroom. Oops, I mean, shower curtains. Like, okay. A mop. Some cleaning supplies, I guess.
I just came from his POV LMAO. I love the algorithm. My man's chose peace. He was like, I bought that, I bought that, I bought that. I had a friend that went to work and her ex moved out while she was at work and took everything, even her scale. Faced with tears of joy, what do y'all do to these men that they move out when you're gone? Depending on the states, P*S him off by filing for common law divorce and take half of everything. You went on vacation without him? I would do the same. Honestly, if we don't vacation together, you can go find someone else. I think he made the right choice. Broke up with ex a few months ago. Met a guy off TikTok. Moving in with him, got his initials tatted?
So I'm not going to do a story time, but I'll just clarify some details for you guys so that there's less confusion. So basically, the ex that moved out, him and I broke up literally 7 months ago. We just continued to live together because we were both on the lease and neither of us wanted to leave. So no, I did not go on vacation without my spouse, or I did not go on vacation to cheat. Nothing like that. I literally went on vacation to visit my family. My ex and I were already broken up. I did know he was moving out, but he was supposed to be moving out after I had gotten back. He just decided to move out early. So no, cheating was not the reason for the breakup. We broke up because I'm kind of toxic. I'm kind of controlling. So no, I'm not a landlord. The video from a few months ago of the freeloader was at a buddy's house that I helped clean. And then in response to all of the other videos on my TikTok, I did meet a new guy through TikTok, but that's not the reason why we broke up again. So yes, there is a new guy, and yes, I am going to be moving into his house. And then for everyone that's been either messaging or commenting saying take the D out of your bio, or is the D for your truck? No, the D is not for the Denali. The tattoo, the D was not for the Denali. The D is solely because the new guy's name is Dayton, so it starts with a D. And that is the one and only time that I will announce the relationship.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch!
You're not super toxic, you're just crazy. The worst part is how she tries to play the victim when, after leaving this relationship, she immediately got involved with another man, to the point of tattooing his initials. Responsibility is kryptonite for women. That new man should be scared because this is looking bad right from the start. At least she admits she's toxic, and that already says a lot about the hell her ex must have lived through. To the men criticizing him for taking the furniture and things he bought, let me tell you something. Leaving everything behind so another man can enjoy it is plain stupidity. If you don't have kids with that woman, there's no reason to start from scratch while someone else reaps the benefits of what you built. Let the new guy handle that problem. It's no longer your concern. So kudos to this man for not letting himself be used as a simp by this woman.
But I'm not anymore. It took me 2 days. The first day, on October 5th, with my friends, and everything has just so much significance to me, but this was my dream ring. It was an heirloom diamond passed down from a grandparent. I took it off this hand and put it on this finger and put this ring here because it's like a phantom feeling, right? So that's how the first day went. And then the second day, I just still felt like I needed a little bit of that security and my identity. I couldn't have everything taken away from me so quick and fast. I needed time. But that second day, by the end of the night, I was able to take it off, and I gave it to my brother to have some space for a while I decide what happens next with it. And I am not an amputee, but I feel like it's similar to that feeling where they say, like, even though it's gone, it still feels like it's there. Like I never took it off, so I have an indentation where it was. And I find myself constantly trying to play with it out of habit. And I know I'll feel okay again one day. But for a time, it was my favorite thing I ever owned. It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw in my life. It was my dream to have that ring from that person. And I feel very empty and lost because it's so much more than a piece of jewelry. I don't know if anyone can understand or relate to that. But that was another step.
Oh, hell no!
Here we can observe 2 points of view. For women, a wedding is a dream come true. From a young age, many fantasize about getting married, putting on the ring, and celebrating the big day. It's a special and meaningful symbol. For men, however, it's different. While the wedding and the ring might be important to the woman, for them, Marriage involves financial and emotional risks. Many men end up covering the expenses, and they also know that by
I wanna hold the hand inside you. I wanna take the breath that you. I look to you and I see nothing. You look like you go in shadow. You'll come apart and you'll go black. Turn the night into your darkness. Color your eyes with what's not there. Fade down to you. Strange you never meet. Fade down to you. I think it's fate you now.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
one day at a time. And one day that home will be yours again. I left a 19 years relationship, childhood sweethearts. Over 4 years now. I still grieve for some of the small things. But I'll never grieve for him again. You got this, girl. I can't wait to see where you are in a year. Much love, light, and healing to you. The notes and photographs are the worst part. I waited almost 4 months after my fiancé left to purge everything. Did he ever even give an explanation? Give you any closure that you so deserve? Been praying for your peace. You got this, girl. I went through a divorce I did not want after 21 years of marriage. It broke me. Divorce after that long is like a death, but the person is not dead. I was living with my BF, and a month before the wedding, he changed his mind, getting rid of my dress and anything wedding related, having to explain to my family, lost money, moving out.
Going home today was harder than I thought I could have. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. We've shared this home for a lot of years, and being detached from it for a few weeks, you forget how much you and your partner are embedded in every single thing and in every single piece of your home. This feels like a mountain to climb, to reorganize a space that has been a certain way for years. I feel so overwhelmed with how to handle this and what to do. If anyone has any tips or tricks on how to get through this, if they've been through something similar, I want to stay in this home. I love this home. I would love your suggestions if there's something like a home edit type of business or service here in LA, I would love to have someone come in and help me reorganize this space and maybe make it feel like my home again. I feel like I've shared so much with you all, and it would be important to share this piece with you all as well. I needed to rip this Band-Aid off and come home and change my clothes and get started on my new life. This is terribly hard. This is terribly painful. I don't know when it's going to get easier, but I'm so grateful that you all are here. And thank you for your support and your kind words and your encouragement through this. I don't know how I could do this on my own. And another thing, it's like, I don't even know how to change the photos on our Alexa and like get all of the photos of him and I off of there, because like I don't know how to do that. And like our lives are just so intertwined. We were together for almost a decade. I'm sitting here in this space looking around and it's just so overwhelming because there's so much. There's just so much. Like I just want to burn it down and start over. Like, I know that's dramatic. It just feels unbelievably overwhelming, the task in front of me. And it's hard and it hurts and it makes me angry because this wasn't my choice and I didn't want this and I didn't want to have to deal with this. I wanted to be married to the person I loved and continue to grow our lives together.
As we all know, marriage is a contract that primarily benefits women. When she doesn't explain what really happened, it's likely that the man told her he didn't want to get married. But many women insist and push until the man, trying to avoid conflict or being alone, ends up agreeing. A rational man takes marriage very seriously. Signing that contract means being trapped with no easy way out. She can divorce you, keep the house, take part of your retirement, and ruin you financially. Plus, if she gets sick or can't work, you'll be the one responsible. That's why, for men, marriage isn't a light decision, because the benefits are minimal compared to the risks. As she herself said, they were already living together in a common-law relationship. Why not just continue like that? What changes after marriage? In reality, nothing. The only difference is that she gains long-term financial security, while the man keeps living the same way he did before, only now with a legal commitment that puts him at a disadvantage.
All right, I have a question. So I created a lot of wedding content prior to not getting married, and I have a lot saved in my draft, and there's just a lot going on, and I never posted it. And all of this is very different now. All of it's very weird and uncomfortable and alien. Should I still post it? Because there's a piece of me that feels like I still want to remember this process and that I did have the opportunity to try on a lot of beautiful gowns and things like that. And there's a piece of me that still does like want to remember it. I don't know. Is that like the craziest thing? Or like, would anyone want to see what that experience was like, even if you are getting married? Like, do I still do any wedding content, even though I didn't have a wedding and my life feels like a disaster? Is it gonna like help the healing process, or is this gonna be psychotic? I was reflecting on that video that I took, and I wanted to kind of talk myself through a little bit more what my intention behind posting pre-October 5th content would be. And where I feel I'd stand with it is that I had so many beautiful moments prior to October, and I would love to time capsule these moments, because where it stands right now, how I feel inside my body is that I'll never be married again. I will never go through this process again. I will never experience the wedding gown try on, the bridal showers, the
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I think until you have a conversation with him and an explanation, it will be difficult to move on. He owes you that much. Not now. Too many strangers are ticked off that someone hurt you. It's too fresh for us. If you feel as though it would heal you and not hurt, you then do it. This is your journey. We're just along for the ride. This breaks my heart for you. I hate he took that away from you. You deserve to be loved and to be able to have a wedding to celebrate a love that will be coming to you when you are ready and least.
The details of the reception and the things that were going to make it special for my former partner and I, and all of those moments that we were planning our joint bachelor and bachelorette party, and all of those small details, I would love to. I don't think it's healthy to try and erase those memories or forget them. I think it's important to honor them. My partner and I worked for over 15 months on this special occasion and day, and we spent so much time and effort. I spent so much time and effort trying to curate a really special experience for our families. And I kind of feel like I don't want that work to feel like it went to waste. And also, a lot of other people are going to get married. And now that I have some of y'all here with me, maybe showing you more of the gowns I tried on and the places I went and talking about the people that helped me would help someone else. And I think it's important that I really honor and stay gracious and give thank yous to all of the vendors that really helped make those moments really special for us. And although we didn't get to celebrate the way we wanted, the vendors put in a lot of hard work and effort, and their work should be memorialized too. So I just wanted to expand on those thoughts that I was having when I was making that video.
Don't you get the feeling that she misses the wedding more than the man she was going to marry? Many women seem to want the event, the ring, the dress, but not the man. In everything she says, there's no regret about losing him, nor does she mention any special qualities or meaningful moments they shared together. She only talks about the wedding, the bachelorette party, the dresses, and how he took away her moment. But what moment? If all she wanted was a party, she could just pay for it and hire a stand-in. This man clearly decided to leave because he didn't want to sign the marriage contract. He knew what was coming and probably understood where the relationship was heading. It's easy to post online saying, "I'm the victim." But no one knows if that man dodged a bullet. 8 years together, and the only thing she seems to regret is not achieving her dream wedding, not losing the love of her life.
What are the reasons you love me? And why is this question a good litmus test for if you are with a narcissistic person? So we have a lot of good litmus tests. We have a lot of good ways that we can kind of see if the person that you're with is ultimately a narcissistic person. But I think that this question is a really good one. And how you can tell is by their answer. So I think a couple of good answers to see if you're with one is if they answer by a reflection of themselves. So if they answer you with, "Well, I love you because of how you make me feel," or "I love you because I know you're the kind of person who will take care of me one day," or do they get angry if they're like, "Well, why do I have to answer this question again? I told you 100 times. Oh dear goodness, that's a really good indicator, right? But if they can't produce any reasons about you or your characteristics, your qualities, anything about you that they love, you know why? Because they don't think about you. They only think about themselves. They are the center of the universe, and everyone exists for them. So they can give you a bunch of reasons about them and why they have you around for themselves, but they can't name one.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
A single and feminist woman creating more single and feminist women, because misery always seeks company. These types of questions like, "Why do you love me?" often end badly because when men answer honestly, many women don't like the response. From a young age, men are taught that their value lies in what they contribute and do. Society doesn't grant them innate social value. They have to earn it. Even when it comes to dating, men are expected to be in a position to provide and care, to have something tangible to offer. They're not asked to bring empty emotions, but results. This conditions men to value their existence based on what they can do or contribute. That's why, when you ask a man, "Why do you love me?" his answer will always be tied to what he perceives as important, what you do for him or what he can do for you. This has been ingrained in him his entire life, and it's what shapes his perception of personal worth.
Thing about you that they love. So when you're like, why do you love me? They can't give you one reason about you that they love. It's only about them and only about themselves. And they might even get angry that you're even asking and annoyed. Or they might even say, well, what do you love about me? Because they've got to stroke that ego all the time, right? They're totally going to flip this and make this an opportunity to stroke their own ego. Well, what do you love about me? You haven't told me in months what you love about me. So why do I have to all the time tell you what I love about you? When in all honesty, they probably haven't told you in years, or if ever, what they love about you. That's how you know this. That's a great litmus test to see, among other things. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll probably come up with another question tomorrow when I'm sitting in my car getting groceries. Have a good night.
I broke up with a fiancé because he could not give me a reason he wanted to marry me versus someone else. My BF told me he likes and adores the way I am strong and the way I move and how we can have meaningful talks, and if I do something I jump right in. A grown man can take care of himself and not the minimum shit. I want a friend and lover, a confidant. I don't want someone's boy. I asked one man that, and he told me like the fact that I never get boring, always got something to talk about, and I'm not afraid of doing what makes. I asked thinking he wouldn't answer. He gave 10 reasons without stuttering. It backfired. Cannot wait to ask my husband this question this tomorrow morning. A great one for sure.
If a man ever tells you that he likes you, just ask him why.
And make sure that his answer isn't all about what you can do for him. If he's saying things like, I love the fact that you cook for me, that you clean for me, that you take care of me, that you take care of the kids, and nothing that he's talking about has anything to do with you as a person, your value, your sense of worth, that you're funny, that you're loving, that you take care of the people that you love, that you are honest, that you're decent, that you're moral. If it's all about, I like how you take care of me, that's not cute. I don't know if some men think that that's flattering. Like, out of all the women that I could have chosen to cook and clean for me and have my kids, I've chosen you. You lucky. No, a woman wants to feel loved, cherished, and valued for what she brings, who she is, not what she can do. We're about more than just service. Some men can only see a woman's value as in what she could do for that man, not like who she is as an actual person.
You know what bothers me about this? Women often want men to view the world emotionally, the way they do. They demand this emotional connection, but when they have an emotional man, they end up leaving him because they perceive him as weak or effeminate, incapable of making them feel like they're with a real man. If you're a woman and you're asking this absurd, "Why do you love me?" test, also ask the man, "Why do you think I love you?" You'll realize that his answer will be very similar. He'll say it's because of what he does for you, because that's how he's been conditioned. Men perceive their value based on what they can provide, because the world has always demanded that of them. Unlike women, men aren't born with inherent social value. For a man to be on a yacht tomorrow, he has to contribute something significant. A woman only needs beauty. It's no coincidence that the 10 wealthiest women in the world are linked to the wealthiest men. Remember this: women, babies, and animals receive unconditional love. Men, on the other hand, are only valued for what they can contribute. If you have doubts, Just watch how some women learn the hard way that the patriarchal narrative crumbles when they realize being a man isn't the privilege they claim it to be.
My message to my younger self will just be like, you know who you are, and please embrace that. I feel, for me, I understood my truth. I felt it very strongly, and it was all of the external forces and noises that pushed and pulled and made me sort of lose track of who I was. And so I guess to my younger self, I'd say, that discomfort and that pain you're feeling, that is not yours, that is theirs. And to just keep going on the journey of embracing who you truly are. And that's what's going to lead you to happy.
How the narrative changes when reality slams you against a wall. This girl experienced something my father always used to say, never be a useful fool. The useful fool is like the guy whose friends encourage him to do something dangerous. They cheer him on while he's doing it, but if it goes wrong, they simply say, it was your decision. It's your fault. In the end, they leave him alone with the problem. This girl was sold the idea that being a man is easy. She was earning millions from her roles, and people told her that as a man, she'd earn even more. They cheered her on, made her feel like she could take on the world. Today, she can't land a single role, nobody's clapping, and her bank account is draining faster every day. Now she claims she was forced. But wasn't the man supposed to be the privileged one? She's no longer treated as the pretty girl who got easy roles with little dialogue. Now she regrets it, but welcome to the world of men. Here, nothing is handed to you, and the responsibility for your decisions will always be solely yours.
So I just found out that I'm not hot, and this was based on a really humbling experience where I'm trying to get 4 men together to help me move a really heavy object from point A to point B, not a far point A to point B either, and I can't do it. It can't be done. I'm in hell. I've tried for days, texting every man I know. Can you please come help me move this heavy thing? It's a piece of granite, by the way. I think we can use that as a gauge. Number 1, can you get a group of men to help you move a heavy object from point A to point B? Number 2, how far can you get them to move it? Because what I need is a piece of granite moved about 15 feet. Cannot gather 4 men to do that. Oh, I can't. I'm going to be hungover that day. Oh, I can't. Football is on. Wham! Number 1, they don't make men like they used to, because how come nobody wants to be helpful? Little helpless old me? You want me to pick up the granite slab? Hey, you're not being helpful. Number 2, I need to level up.
I'm sorry, but this is not telling of how hot you are. This is telling of how many men that you've placed in your friend zone. And it sounds like they all exited themselves without you even realizing. Because if you think that men are just going to give all of that effort, all of that time just because you're attractive and you're literally just sitting there and you're not reciprocating anything back, they are over that. They would rather have a true friend that they're putting effort towards, or they'd rather have somebody that's wanting to be in a real relationship with them. It's that simple. Stop trying to expect things from men when you're giving them literally nothing back.
Exactly. You asked for equality, and now you've got it. You're being treated the way you demanded. Weren't men supposed to be trash, useless, and disposable? That is, until you need a man to do something for you. Then suddenly the guilt trips and attempts to belittle men come out to make them comply. But good for those men who are waking up. Nowadays, many understand that they should only help women who are their partners or who pay them for the services they provide. The time for giving without receiving anything in return is over. Brothers, men are learning, and the game is no longer the same. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Has a girl ever tested you to see how you'd respond? Why do you think this girl regrets her transition to becoming a man? If you enjoyed the video, I invite you to subscribe. Check out 2 other great videos we've got on modern women, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode on the wall.